Today, The Legend of Zelda turns 35 years old. Happy 35th anniversary to the Legend of Zelda franchise. Hey Nintendo fans and collectors, Lithium here from my channel Nintendo Collecting. I put everything together for one Legend of Zelda video. Everything that I have that is Zelda related, whether it be games, consoles, controllers, figurines, guides, Nintendo powers, t-shirts, it's all here in one video. I did actually do a Legend of Zelda video 6 or 7 years ago. I'll put that up as a link in the top right as a card if you want to check it out and maybe compare the two together. But before I get into this video, I would love to ask you guys, what are your top 3 Zelda games of all time, and maybe why? But also, what is your favorite variation of Link the character? Maybe it's from a certain game, maybe it's a variation of Link from Majora's Mask, or Dark Link would be one of my personal favorites. I wish Dark Link was in more videos. Just to briefly mention my personal top 3 Zelda games, it's probably between Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and also Breath of the Wild. Those games are open world, they're so immersive, and all the other Zelda games are as well. I just think those are in my top 3. They're on my podium, but I'm not sure what order. I'm also really excited for the announcement of Skyward Sword. I did do a react video to them announcing that HD variation as well as the Joy-Cons, and I can't wait for Breath of the Wild 2. Hopefully that game comes out earlier or later this year. That would be fantastic if we actually get that in 2021, which is I think what they're aiming for. Okay, so let's give an overview of everything that's here, and then we'll get to all the games first up. So the overview here, what you're looking at mainly right here is what my Legend of Zelda wall, right here in this space, usually looks like. I usually have all the main series of games, some posters. I also have the Hyrule Sword with the Hyrule Shield with the Master Sword right there. And then I have a lot of the spin-off games down there. And then the DS and the 3DS systems. I also usually have the Breath of the Wild Master Edition here on the left, so that is usually displayed right there. And the other thing that's usually displayed over here is the Wii U console right there, because this is usually a Wii U shelf. What this means, though, is I moved a ton of stuff in order to do this video. So at the bottom over here, usually this has all my handheld systems. I moved them all for World of Nintendo stuff. On the left, it usually has all of my Nintendo Switch collection. I moved all of that for more figurines, glasses, board games, and other Zelda items as well. And then on the right, where there was the Wii U collection, if it was a gold console or controller, I just decided to include it in this video. Even though it's not Zelda themed, it's gold, so it's basically Zelda themed. And then I have my pillows up here at the top. I also have posters on the wall over there. And on the ground, I put all of my guides for The Legend of Zelda, and all of my Nintendo Power magazines are down here. Then I have a lot of my doubles are over there, and my clothing collection for Zelda, including t-shirts. All the extra posters that I couldn't display are on the ground over here, including 3 more over here as well that are up usually elsewhere in the Nintendo room. So that's a pretty good overview. I might not have mentioned the Amiibo, but the Amiibo are also on this shelf, along with coasters that I custom made and all of that good stuff. So if you guys have any questions throughout this video, feel free to ask. Normally, I have this green light on as LEDs for the Zelda wall, but I am going to turn off this light right here, just so that we can easily see the games a little bit better. So let's get to all the games. Including spin-offs, there's roughly 40 Legend of Zelda games. If you see any Zelda game that I'm missing throughout this collection video, please let me know. I think after I go through all the games, I'll mention a few of them that I know I'm missing from my collection. I will try and get the others over time, but they just haven't been as much of a focus, especially as the main games. So here's the original Legend of Zelda game. This is in a gold box. It was released a few months after it was in Japan. I don't have the original game on Famicom, just because I'm trying not to collect games from Japan as much as possible. I'm trying to get them from North America so I can actually play them. After the original Legend of Zelda, by the way, I do have the cartridge for these. The cartridge for that is gold, which is so cool that they did that all the way back and kind of set the tone. This game is available to play on the Switch, which is really neat that you can actually play that on the NES online. Then we have The Adventure of Link, a huge different direction for the game, but there was only 2 games at the time. This one was mostly a side-scroller, sometimes a top-down view, and it brought more RPG elements into the series. It's kind of just an odd Zelda game to a lot of people. Again, gold cartridge, which is really cool. You can find these 2 games as a gray cartridge variation, which is part of the collection I'm still trying to go after. After those two, we had A Link to the Past. A lot of people consider this the best Zelda game, or at least the best 2D Zelda game of all time. This one, a lot of my friends just say is one of their favorites. I just didn't play these games, these three, growing up in my childhood. So I tend to prefer Ocarina of Time over A Link to the Past, but I've since grown way more fond of A Link to the Past, especially playing through A Link Between Worlds. It makes me appreciate A Link to the Past even more. Then we had Link's Awakening. Now, Link's Awakening was actually released in two different variations, so we do have the Link's Awakening DX, which I'll get to in a moment as well. So this one has an extra dungeon on it. If you're going to get the game once, I think you should try and find it on the Game Boy Color. It's a better variation to get, basically, because of that extra dungeon. So you have Link's Awakening. This one is a player's choice. I would like to get the non-player's choice version at some point. Then we have Ocarina of Time, my personal, probably favorite Zelda game along with Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild, as I mentioned. Now, Ocarina of Time had so many different releases. So we do have a few different of the releases down here. We have the standard release, we also have the Player's Choice release version right here, and then we have the Collector's Edition, of course, which came with the Gold Zelda cartridge again, kind of keeping that trend. It's a little bit odd on the Super Nintendo that we didn't have The Legend of Zelda as a cartridge game that was gold. So after Ocarina of Time and the Z targeting and how wonderful that game is with open world, we got very quick turnaround, Majora's Mask. This is another very whimsical, quirky kind of Zelda game that is quite different from the rest of the series, but a lot of people either completely love this game or hate this game. The game did come out with a holographic cart that is, like, you can move this basically, and it kind of looks like Link's moving a little bit, but then it was released as a normal gold cartridge as well in a normal box. I don't have that box variation yet, I just have the cartridge for it. Then we have the Oracle games. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. This was supposed to be a trilogy made by Capcom, which was then turned into only 2 games. I wish that these cartridges were gold in some way as well, but the cartridges themselves down here are just 2 different colors, obviously. One's red and one is blue, essentially. They almost feel like they're in reverse order compared to the boxes above. So there you go. After that, we had one of my favorite games of all time, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. A lot of people ask me, should I play this on the GameCube? Should I play the Wii U version? I do think the Wii U version's slightly better. The graphics are obviously better, but also you can get the Swift Sail, which makes sailing on the oceans twice as fast at least. So I do recommend maybe you play on that, but it's just so nostalgia to me to play on the original GameCube. There are a lot of different variations of the way that that game was released, by the way. There's also another one that has Metroid and Wind Waker in it, Metroid Prime and Wind Waker, that I don't quite have yet. So after Wind Waker, we had the Minish Cap, one of the best handheld Zelda games for sure. His hat comes to life. Think basically like Mario Odyssey, where the hat is sentient and helps you out, and you also shrink down to be with Minish, basically, with really tiny creatures in the franchise. Then we had Twilight Princess. Most people might associate Twilight Princess with the GameCube, but it was also then re-released, of course, eventually on the Wii U, and it was on the Wii. So it's interesting how Twilight Princess was on 3 consoles in a row. I still want Twilight Princess to eventually come over to the Nintendo Switch. So in this version, it's not really a spoiler, you turn into a wolf called Wolf Link, and the game is really expansive, it's very immersive, it feels like a good continuation of Ocarina of Time. So if you love Ocarina of Time, maybe consider playing Twilight Princess as a true kind of, in the heart of it, sequel. After that, we had 2 games on the DS, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. Now, while a lot of people consider these games perhaps not the best in the Zelda franchise, they're still incredibly solid games. The graphical style is a lot similar to Wind Waker in that regard. So Phantom Hourglass, you're still across the ocean, but in Spirit Tracks, you're basically a conductor of a train. So they're very kind of unique takes on the Zelda franchise. I think they're great spin-offs, not even spin-offs, they're main parts of the series. I definitely should not call them spin-offs. The Zelda timeline, by the way, is a complete mess. Let me know what you think of the timeline, because I wonder actually how many branches there are in that timeline. Then we had the game everyone's talking about, Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword released in another box variation, which you get the soundtrack, and usually the soundtrack actually comes with the game, but you get that really cool Legend of Zelda Wii remote with Wii Motion Plus inside. So that was a really cool bundle. The price for that is slowly going up, of course, over time. Skyward Sword is being re-released on the Nintendo Switch. They also are allowing you to not use motion controls. You can use the right joystick to kind of use your sword in different directions, which is a great idea. I'm very excited for that. I'm curious how they're charging full price, but I think I'm still going to get it and everyone else will. And there's also a really cool Joy-Con bundle coming out for that. After that, quite recently, we had A Link Between Worlds. This is in my top 2 handheld Zelda games, I would say. Top 2 or top 3. This and Minish Cap always kind of fight it out for me. I played this one most recently handheld, so I really enjoy A Link Between Worlds. It is a fantastic Zelda experience. I wish they gave this release a little bit more than just the normal release here in North America. Then we have Breath of the Wild, which came out in like 3 different release platforms, or 3 different variations, I should say. So we had Breath of the Wild, normal release like that. We eventually had an Explorer's Edition released like this. We also had one released on the Wii U. So on the Wii U it released kind of simultaneously on the Wii U and the Switch, just like Twilight Princess released simultaneously on the GameCube and the Wii, or at least it was out for both. But then there's other variations of it, like this Master Edition over here, that came with a bunch of stuff, including the map. It also came with the CD. It came with the sword right here that you can see in the stone, which looks like, oh my gosh, the sword and the stone, the Master Sword you've got right there. It also came with that carrying case and a few other items. But then there's a special edition for Breath of the Wild that I don't have, that's in a smaller box of that, which I'm trying to get eventually. So those are what I consider the main games for the Legend of Zelda franchise. There are probably a few others that people might consider part of the main franchise. Maybe Master Quest would be in there. Maybe Triforce Heroes should be up there as well. The Hyrule Warriors games, I'm considering those spin-offs overall, and the remakes I'm going to get to in a moment. Down here, I have all of the spin-offs and remakes of Zelda games. So just at the back over here, I've got The Legend of Zelda and The Adventure of Link as part of that classic NES series. So those allowed you to play the game on the Game Boy Advance. That was kind of before you could download the games onto like your DS systems and systems thereafter. Then we have Link's Awakening DX, which I already mentioned, with that new secret dungeon involved, and the color mechanics on that are brilliant. Then we have A Link to the Past, which includes the new multiplayer adventure, Four Swords, which inspired the GameCube variation Four Swords Adventures, and then probably Triforce Heroes as well. Then we have Ocarina of Time 3D, made by Grezzo, and Majora's Mask 3D, but this one has a Skull Kid figure. I'm not sure why Ocarina of Time didn't have a special edition or anything like that, but it didn't. So both of these games have upgraded graphics, upgraded mechanics. Sometimes they kind of took a step laterally, meaning like the swimming mechanic maybe in Majora's Mask isn't as good as people want it to be, but overall it made the games a lot better in a lot of ways, that I think if you're going to play the games and you're looking to play them more modern, it might be better to try these out as well, but I'm really hoping they come to the Switch at some point, or at least they're made in HD. Then we have Ocarina of Time and the Master Quest. So we have this as its own little variation here, and we also have the game that comes with both of them. So I believe this one you could get for pre-ordering the game, but the one on the right actually came as a pack-in for a GameCube variation from my understanding. Really cool. Master Quest was supposed to be out on basically on the disk drive originally. Now, I did mention some of this stuff, and I really want to mention that I did a podcast very recently with Nintendo Addiction. I really want to thank them for having me on. So if you could check out the description below, I do have a link to their podcast that I was just on, and we talk a little bit about Master Quest. We get into that a little bit, how it should have been on the disk drive. Then we have Four Swords Adventures right here. I also have it out of the box right down there. So this one is a larger box. It's not in mint shape. You can see that I have a sticker up there that was trying to be removed. But overall, that big box variation is one of the harder editions of a Zelda game to find. It came with the Nintendo GameCube Game Boy Advance link cable. That's why it's a bigger box, basically. Really cool multiplayer game. There is a setup that I do with my friends that uses 5 GameCubes, daisy-chained together, with the game, like basically on the bottom of the GameCube, you can put an adapter on it, so it's called the Game Boy Player. So you have 5 of those with the Game Boy Player disc. You daisy-chain them together with 5 different TVs, and you don't have to play basically on a Game Boy Advance, because otherwise you would need only 1 console, 1 TV, 4 Game Link cables, and 4 Game Boy Advances. But you could do it with 5 TVs and 5 GameCubes. Ridiculous setup. Then I have the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. So another kind of neat variation that you could get for pre-ordering a game. This one says not for resale on it. This one comes with Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, and it also comes with Majora's Mask. Again, we briefly mentioned that on the podcast that I was mentioning that I was a guest on for Nintendo Addiction. Then here we have Skyward Sword, the original release on the GameCube, which I did already mention when I talked about Twilight Princess on the... It was basically released the exact same time as the Wii. Almost at the same time. So here we go with the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, the previous special edition with that soundtrack and the Wii remote looking really spectacular. Anything big box cardboard is usually worth a lot of money over time. So this one's rising in value quite a bit recently. So if you really want to get it, maybe consider getting it sooner rather than later. Then we have the Wii U edition of Wind Waker that comes with a Ganondorf collectible figurine. It is not an Amiibo, but it is a really cool figurine, so this one is still factory sealed right there. I have one opened of it already. Then we have the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD that comes with the Wolf Link Amiibo. So this one is brand new, but I do have the Wolf Link Amiibo right there as well. So that's really neat that you have that special edition. Then Breath of the Wild, the Explorer's Edition, which I mentioned. There's also the Special Edition and the Master Edition. There's so many editions for that one. And there's also the edition on the Wii U right there. And then for Link's Awakening, we have the Dreamer Edition, which comes with a game and a really nice art book for any fans of that game. Whimsical, cool kind of claymation style to that game, which I really appreciate. They charged full amount for that game. It was a remake, but they remake the entire game and they added a lot to it. Even some of the stuff where you can kind of create, not really create your own dungeon, but maybe a little bit of that. Sticking with all the other games as the spin-offs and remakes and stuff like that, I mentioned the two other variations of Ocarina of Time. So the normal one, the player's choice. I think there might be one more or two. There's also a really big box version from Brazil that would be cool to get for that game. Majora's Mask has another box variation I'm still after, but here is the game pulled out of the special edition box from right there. Then you have Triforce Heroes, should probably be part of the main series, but it's still kind of a little bit of a spin-off. It's a 3-player game. Lots of fun if you're actually playing with 2 other players and there's 3 of you in total. Then we have the Hyrule Warriors games, the original on the Wii U, the remake of it called Legends on the 3DS, and then we have Age of Calamity, which does have a new kind of DLC coming out to it very soon. Then we have Four Swords Adventures, like I said, just pulled out of that big box right there. One of my personal favorite side quest games is Link's Crossbow Training. Not side quest, but I guess spin-off game. I love this game. I mentioned that I had world records in that podcast that I did with Nintendo Addiction. It's really cool to kind of play through this game again. It's so strange. You do have to use the Wii Zapper for that game. The Wii Zapper, I do have that variation kind of right back here if you were wondering. You can see that Zapper right there. You don't have to use the Zapper, but I think it makes it a bit of a better experience. Check it out. It wouldn't last you more than maybe an hour to play through it once, but you try and get high scores basically in that game. So it's really cool. I really like it. Then we have Skyward Sword. That is a Steelbook edition. It didn't come with the game. I think it was just available at Best Buy. Then Skyward Sword on the Wii. Again, that was just pulled out of the box above. Wind Waker HD. There are 2 different variations of this. There's another one that is not gold. It's actually in color blue. I'm still after that edition if I can find it. And then we have The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, again pulled out of the box. Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. And Link's Awakening pulled out of the box above. So that is all of the main Zelda games and spin-off Zelda games that I have. So if you were paying attention, you might have noticed that I do not have Tingle's Rupee Land, or it's called something similar to that. I don't think that was ever released in North America, but I might still try and pick that one up at some point. Then I'm also missing all of the Zelda CDI games, like the Wand of Gamelon and so forth. I might try and get those one point, but I'm not probably going to get a CDI console, and again, I want to play my games as much as possible, so I do want to get those at some point. And I think I'm also missing the Legend of Zelda Special Edition, but not the Master Edition that I mentioned over here, that comes with the Master Sword statue and everything like that. Now the cartridges. I pull out all the cartridges out of the boxes, and I just want to explain myself for why I do this. It's a lot easier to grab a cartridge off the shelf like this, especially if I can put a dust cover on it like this one has for A Link to the Past. I don't want to open up all the cardboard as much as possible, because cardboard boxes like this, if you're opening them and closing them, you're going to eventually crease them. So I'm trying not to do that. That's why I pulled out all of them right here. Now, of all of them that are pulled out of the box, there's one that I haven't really talked about. This is The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time and Master Quest on the Nintendo 64. Someone sent this to me. It's not an official release, but it's so cool to play through Master Quest on the original N64 with a controller, so that's not an official release, but I thought I would include it in this video. So let me know if you have any questions about The Legend of Zelda games themselves. Again, my top 3 games are probably Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Breath of the Wild in no particular order. What a ridiculous collection. Alright, next up, let's get to the consoles and accessories. I have roughly 10 Legend of Zelda themed consoles, or at least gold consoles, here to go through for you. This is not all of them. I am missing a few which I would love to get, so if anyone can help me find them, I'm usually looking for a reasonable price. They don't have to be new. They just have to be in really good condition. So one of the first ones I got, this is the Legend of Zelda DS Lite. It does have a Triforce on it. There's another variation of this that actually comes bundled in with the game. I think it's Phantom Hourglass in other regions. I'm not trying to get every single box variation necessarily. I first just want to get the actual system variations if I can. Then there is the Legend of Zelda. This one includes Ocarina of Time. So this is just called the Zelda edition, or the special edition for this one. It is beautiful. It's a black system. It has various Zelda items on it, basically like the ocarina and the harp, which looks beautiful. It has some gold detail work. Then we have the Legend of Zelda 3DS XL. This one includes the Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. So this one's called the Zelda Edition again. I think this is just called the Zelda Edition for the 3DS XL specifically. It is basically having the Triforce on the top, and then on the bottom, it has the Triforce again, but darkened. So it's basically a lot of the theme of the game, if you know what I'm talking about. Right there, you've got the logo for the game, so that's exactly what they put on the system. Gold on the front, top, and then black basically on the bottom. Then we have this edition right here. This is called the Majora's Mask Edition. So of course, this one has Majora's Mask on it. It's in gold. There's another one that's out that's called the Hylian Edition, I think, that I don't have, that's similar to this, but I really want to try and track that one down. I also think there's a Game Boy Advance Edition that's out that I don't have for The Legend of Zelda that's worth quite a bit. I think that might be an SP, I think. Then for the 2DS, this is the 2DS XL. This is called the Hylian Shield Edition. I love this system. It has embossing on it. It also has the bird from Skyward Sword in red. It has the Triforce symbol on it. If you're not going to play games in 3D, because the 2DS can't do that, but it does play 3DS games and DS games, this is my favorite console variation to game on, basically, for that experience. After that, we have The Legend of Zelda. This is the 2DS edition. This one comes with Ocarina of Time 3D pre-installed. It's green, and it also is the other colors of his clothing. So we have yellow detail on that, and kind of dark brown also. That kind of is the same as some of his items that he's holding, like his gloves. So it's not a gold system, but it's definitely still a Zelda edition. After that, we have The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. So this one looks really cool. This is the gamepad that comes with it. The gamepad is the only unique thing about this release. Otherwise, the system itself is black, and it also comes pre-installed with the Wind Waker HD, and you get Hyrule Historia as a digital download on it. So this is going to go slowly up over time if it isn't already. If you can find it new in box, basically, it's probably worth quite a pretty penny. So those are all the consoles that I have that are specifically themed for The Legend of Zelda. However, I have more that are just gold that I just want to talk about. Like this gold GameCube, kind of going reverse back in time from the Wii U. So this is called Starlight Gold. It's very, very similar to the Platinum Silver system. This is only released in Japan. It wasn't themed for The Legend of Zelda, but hey, it's a gold system. Then we have the Legend of Zelda kind of edition on the N64, which is just the gold edition. This is the 2-controller edition that came to Toys R Us. I miss Toys R Us, by the way. Actually, it still does exist in some small locations and countries. So let me know if you have a Toys R Us near you still. And we also have the edition that came out to Japan. Again, both of those are not themed for The Legend of Zelda, but they are gold, so why not? There is a box for The Legend of Zelda that it is released as a green edition, I think, and it's somewhere out in the world. I'm not sure what region it was released to, but the console's normal. I just think it comes bundled in with Ocarina of Time. Now, sticking with some variations of this, because I'm down here with the N64, there were 2 gold different released controllers, or different boxes. The controllers are the same, so it's just the exact same controller as that one there for the gold edition. Then we have the Nintendo Power 100th issue gold controller, and, oh, so that was available in Nintendo Power magazines. Then this is a custom-made controller for me. This is made by Zoki. Thank you so much, Zoki, for making me this, by the way. It has a Triforce on it, and it's kind of metallic green. We have the factory-sealed blister pack gold controller from Toys R Us that matches the system. We have a wired fight pad. This is for Link. These are made by PDP. There's a whole set of like 10 or more of these basically, but only one for The Legend of Zelda. So there it is right there in the box. And continuing up. So other items that I have back here, it's a little hard to see, but I have some Club Nintendo items, like the controller, the Pro Controller right there. We also have the Nunchuck, we have the Link's Crossbow Training that I mentioned, and we have right here the Zelda Wii Remote with Wii Motion Plus inside. That was from Skyward Sword. What a beautiful Wii Remote, by the way. I'm really excited to get the Joy-Cons for that out eventually here in North America. And lastly, I have a ASCII controller that is gold. Again, not Zelda themed, but at least it's gold. It looks pretty cool overall. So that's all of my accessories and consoles with controllers included for the Legend of Zelda franchise. Next, let's take a look at all the figurines. To start all the different figurines for The Legend of Zelda, I'm going to start with the Amiibo. There's over 20 of these. I actually think there's 24 of them. A lot of them are from Breath of the Wild that you see over there on the right. Some of them are from Super Smash Bros. And others are just released for specific games. So there are 6 from Super Smash Bros. Right here. You have Ganondorf. Love that design, by the way. Zelda, Sheik, Toon Link, Young Link, and Adult Link. So that is a great kind of set of 6 that you can use. All of these can probably be used in other games too. It doesn't just have to be Super Smash Bros. Then for Link's Awakening, we have this claymation style, adorable little Link. I even love the way his Hylian shield looks. It looks fantastic. Look at that. And then we have the pixelated Link right here. This reminds me a little bit of some of the World of Nintendo pixelated figures, but that's really neat to have. Then we don't have anything basically from some of the other Zelda games. So we don't have anything from Zelda 2, we don't have anything from Oracle of Ages or Oracle of Seasons, and a few of the others, but we do have one for Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. Here's a 2-pack that was released for Toon Link, and we have Princess Zelda, so these are from Wind Waker. Then you have Twilight Princess Link, Wolf Link with Midna riding Wolf Link. That is from that variation right there of Twilight Princess HD. Skyward Sword Link. I wish his sword was raised skyward. And then all of these from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, including Archer Link, Princess Zelda, Rider Link, Bokoblin. Then you have 4 of the champions right here. So name all those champions. Let's see if we can do it. We got Urbosa, Mifa, Rivali, and we have Darunia, I think. I think his name's Darunia. He's always Daruk. His name's Daruk. I'm thinking of Ocarina of Time, so Daruk. And then we have right here a Guardian, which is kind of posable. So those are all of the Amiibo for The Legend of Zelda. Tons of them. But let's get to other figures. So after that, I think I need to talk about some of the cool ones that I have out. These ones go all the way back to Ocarina of Time. These are from the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. These are so cool. You've got Impa, also with Zelda herself and her horse. Then you have Link with Epona. Then you have Ganondorf with his horse. And these are still factory sealed. I actually do have them way over here already open. I'll see if I can zoom in on them right there. So I do have them already open. They're just not complete. They don't look as good as they do right here when they're factory sealed, of course. So I wanted to use these ones right here to show you. Other figurines that I've got are from Twilight Princess. This is a 4 set right here. These are really expensive. They are, you can kind of take them apart a little bit, but we even have Zant here as well, which is kind of hard to find as a figurine. We have a 6-pack right here that came out of those little capsules in Japan. So we've got 2 from Ocarina of Time, 2 from, it looks like Wind Waker, and we also have 2 from Skyward Sword. Maybe those middle ones are actually Phantom Hourglass. And then at the top, I have all these little figures right here from Spirit Tracks that again came in those little capsules. Really neat to kind of add any sort of little figurines from The Legend of Zelda. Sticking with those figures, let's next get to World of Nintendo. Look at all of this World of Nintendo Zelda merch. There's a lot of it. I do want to start with the giant Link figures that you can see over here. They were released, one of them was released at SDCC, I think. It's the limited edition one on the right, and the one on the left was in normal stores like Toys R Us. So that is like a 20 to 30 inch Link that also comes with his Master Sword and also the Hylian shield, which is so neat that you get that. So if you can find those are really cool. Also, World of Nintendo, just so I don't forget about it, we have this Traveler's Bow and Arrow down here. I think there's another variation of that as well. That's still new in the box. I decided to pick that up because I just found it, and it was local, and it was a really good deal. Not sure what to do with that, other than maybe someone cosplays one day. Alright, World of Nintendo after that. For Plush, just to briefly mention the Plush probably after, let's stick with the figurines first. So for the figurines, I think there is one that I am missing, but let's go through them first for the 4-inch line from World of Nintendo. You have Skull Kid, that comes with the mask. All of these have an accessory, by the way. You have Sheik and Princess Zelda, and you have Link. You'll notice that some of these are a little bit lower in the plastic and some of them are higher. They just change the packaging over time, and some of them are actually packaged incorrectly. So Princess Zelda here is quite clearly not from Wind Waker, but they have a Wind Waker box right there as part of the backing. So sometimes they made a mistake there. Then you have the Trophy Series Link. The original Link looks like it's from Ocarina of Time. We have Goron Tunic Link, but we didn't get the blue Tunic Link, which is so upsetting we didn't get the Zora Tunic Link in that design. I really wish we did. I'm not sure why they didn't ever release that. You do have Shadow Link, one of my personal favorites, as I said. That is, again, looks like it's from Ocarina of Time. Such a cool figure. And then you have Link. This is actually called a prototype series for Wind Waker. Then 2 from Wind Waker as well that are slightly different. One comes with the accessory that's a shield. One has the Wind Waker. In one, Link is smiling and one he's not. So just kind of little funny, subtle differences. There's also one from Breath of the Wild. I don't have that one yet. Link looks really weird and wonky on that one if you want to check it out online, but I am trying to track that one down. Then we have Ganondorf as a large 6-inch figure right here. That's how he was released, kind of in that line. So that's really neat. After that, we have the 2.5-inch line of Zelda figures. So they're all right here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 of them, I think. We have Tingle down there. Then we have Skull Kid, Deku Link, Bokoblin, Ganondorf, 8-bit Red Link, then we have 8-bit White Link and 8-bit Link in green, and below that we have Ganondorf, Tetra, and Link from Wind Waker. So Wind Waker got a lot of love here, so did Majora's Mask, and so did Zelda 1, but that's basically it for the 2.5-inch line that I'm aware of. There might be a few others, let me know if I'm missing anything there. Then there is a Microland set. So the Microland set is really, really neat. However, it's not great for kids because the pieces are so small, someone might choke on them. So you have Link plus Outside Island, Tetra plus the Open Ocean, and here, this one is called, let me just check what is actually named. It's Ganondorf plus Hyrule Castle, which makes a lot of sense for that last one. You can also find them in larger sets, so this is called a deluxe pack. King of Red Lions, look at how cool that is, Wind Waker fans. That is so fantastic, you even get Link right there. And 5 pieces of the ocean, I guess, as squares. You can link those together, by the way. Get it? Link? Crazy. Then you have a deluxe pack here for Outset Island as well. 5 little pieces that you can connect. And there was, for Series 1-4 of the Microland figures, you get these right here with various figurines. These are all from Wind Waker. So Wind Waker getting a ton of love in the World of Nintendo line. I wish they gave more love to some of the other series, but Wind Waker is one of my favorite games. So I'm really happy that we have that. So I think that's most of my figurines, if I'm not mistaken. Also part of the World of Nintendo line are these plush right down here. We have an 8-bit version of Link that's like a pillow that's back there. Then we have Toon Link and Outset Island Link from Wind Waker, and we have Tingle. And Tingle was also available in Wind Waker, in Majora's Mask, and in various other games like Rupee Land and things like that. So I think that's most of my figurines, like I said. Let me know if you have any figurines that maybe I should pick up for The Legend of Zelda. So next up, after figurines, let's get to all of the guides. I have to start off the guides with talking about Hyrule Historia. This is a gorgeous book made by Prima Games that had a lot of the other variations come out in a box set and some released separately. In Hyrule Historia, this is such a cool read. It also has the Zelda timeline as it was at the time, officially released by Nintendo. There are a few mistakes in this book, but we can let that pass because it is such a good guide overall. There's also 2 different variations, I think, in that series, like Arts and Artifacts, and there's another one that I do want to track down and get a hold of at some point and read through. Great reading material. Then, like I mentioned, we have all of these Zelda guides. I think it was roughly these 6 right here that were released in a guide set like that right there that came in the Zelda chest, which is so cool. In that chest, you got a certificate of authenticity and also a gold I think it's a bookmark, basically. So definitely check that out if you can find it. I have one that's opened right there with all of them pulled out, and I also have this one that's still factory sealed, as well as a copy of Hyrule Historia that I mentioned factory sealed. So after we had all of those, they released a few more of them that I think were not in that set. So something like Twilight Princess HD, Majora's Mask, and Triforce Heroes with a different cover, and one of the other ones, because there were 6 in the set. I'm just not quite remembering. So let me know what 6 actually came in the set. I'm just trying to remember that. And then sometimes in these as well, you did get like some really cool items involved in this as well. So like just try and get those if you can get them new, because they're not that expensive. But this set right here is going up and up in value, especially if it's factory sealed. Also sticking with guides, there are so many from Nintendo Power and from other places like Prima and Brady Games. I'm really trying to get all of them from Nintendo Power themselves as guides, but sometimes those aren't actually the best guide for that game. So sometimes I actually prefer, for example, I prefer this guide from Brady Games a little bit more over the one from Nintendo Power, because this one has a lot more information and it's more specific and more detailed. I like the artwork in it as well. So I have one for A Link to the Past, one for Ocarina of Time, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, twice, then 2 for Wind Waker at least. I actually think I have a third one somewhere, I just couldn't locate it. My wife's actually playing through the HD version of that game right now, which is so neat. The Minish Cap, Majora's Mask, Spirit Tracks, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword. So I'm really trying to maybe get a Zelda guide for every single Zelda game if it exists eventually. Some of them are really, really old. So for example, here you have like Zelda 2 featured on Nintendo Power Magazine that gives not a full guide, but a lot of different tips that you can get basically for the game. Speaking of which, Link has been featured on the cover of Nintendo Power at least 15 times. I could find 15 issues out of my full collection of all 285, which I do have a video about as well. Maybe I'll put that as a card as well in this video. So 15 times. We have one for Zelda 2, A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, even Soul Calibur 2, he was a playable, fightable character. 4 Swords Adventures, The Minish Cap, Majora's Mask, I think this is just for Majora's Mask. And then we have Twilight Princess, another one for Twilight Princess, one for Spirit Tracks. This is just one for Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time 3D. This one is for Phantom Hourglass. And lastly, this is a Zelda companion that came with a bunch of posters and stuff like that. So lots of Zelda guides and Zelda books. Before I move on though, I also have The Legend of Zelda. This is the story. Basically, these are the comics of reading this. So this is like manga. You can read all of them, but you read them in reverse. Really cool set, so it's not quite comics, more close to obviously manga to try and read these. So thank you so much, Jordan, for giving me those at some point. You're awesome, and I miss you, bud. Can't wait to play some Zelda games and hang out. So those are all the guides. After all of the guides, let's next talk about posters. I permanently have set up these 2 posters in my Zelda room, and those 2, and 3 more on the staircase. So I have 7 Zelda posters permanently put up in this location. This first one is really neat from A Link Between Worlds. I just love that poster, but also it was a horizontal poster that's 22 by 28, so it fit really nicely in this space. To also juxtapose against my Wind Waker poster right here with the world and with Ganondorf in the background with Valoo up there as a dragon. Love that game so much. Love how those 2 posters are on my Zelda wall. I would like to swap these out every once in a while. I'm just trying to find other Zelda posters that are 22 by 28 and horizontal. Also on the Zelda wall, I just want to mention these decals. I don't know what to call this right here. It's like a vinyl strip right here. So this we have Skull Kid, we have Link, we also have Goron Link down there, really neat. And then on the other side, we have Deku Link, or at least he's turning into Deku Link, some of the characters from the Zelda game, and then Zora Link at the bottom over there. So whoever gave me that, probably almost a decade ago, thank you so much. I just can't remember who sent that to me in the mail. So that's really neat. Over here we have a poster for Breath of the Wild, kind of very iconic, with Link wearing his blue tunic from the game, and he's climbing, of course, with that stamina meter. Below that we have one of my favorite fights in the Zelda franchise, Link versus Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. Love that poster. I actually have that poster, I think, as a different size as well, somewhere amongst all of my posters, which I'll get to in a second. And then what's usually up, coming down my stairs, are these 3 right here. So generally, let me just move this out of the way. Generally, what I've got up coming down the stairs is one from Twilight Princess from Club Nintendo. Then I have one for Skyward Sword, looking ridiculously cool. There's a few different variations of that one that you can find. And then, Zelda's 25th anniversary. This almost feels ironic to have up in the room, considering it's the 35th anniversary. I remember getting this poster from Club Nintendo and thinking it's one of the best ones I've ever seen for the Zelda franchise. And now they need one for the 35th anniversary. This is just so cool, because it does have all those variations of Link on that poster. Other posters I have for The Legend of Zelda, I kind of just have down here on the floor rolled up. There are so many of them. Some of them, like this one for Twilight Princess. This one is from A Link Between Worlds, it says. And then I have another one from Ocarina of Time where Link's battling enemies. I have some from Ocarina of Time 3D. I guess these are various ones from Club Nintendo as well. So there's a few of them actually in here that I've had up over time. It's just I can't fit all of them in my room right now. So Famicom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks and stuff like that. There might be a few in here. This one is for Twilight Princess. You can see the map right there, of course. And in that, there's various other ones that I just can't get to. There's so many. Some Skyward Sword. There's actually a error on one of the Skyward Sword ones because I think the outline of one of the birds is just kind of, it bled basically when they printed it. Then we even have some for, I love this one. This is for Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. It just folded up from the guide that it came with. Another one for Skyward Sword that's gold, and we have this one which was all of Link's history since 1987 with all the different variations of Link, but again, this one's now like 14 years old, and there's been a lot more since we only had Phantom Hourglass here for that franchise. Here is a poster from A Link to the Past, which came with some of the games for the Super Nintendo. Really cool that you can actually get this in a Super Nintendo game. Quite simple with the Master Sword, but I think it really works. And here is a steel variation of the Hylian Shield. So it looks really cool of the Hylian Shield. This one I actually got from my wife's aunt and uncle, so I really want to thank you guys for getting this. I think you guys got this for me when you guys were in Mexico, so I've held on to that the entire time as well. Posters. How many posters do I have for The Legend of Zelda? It's over 20. There's actually a lot more that I have that are small posters. Maybe they're like, I think 2 sheets of paper worth. I probably have another 10 to 15 of those somewhere. I just can't really display it all. They're probably rolled up in some of these right now. So I probably have maybe 30 posters, 35 posters for The Legend of Zelda, 7 of which are up at any time, along with 2 vinyls on the side. So now we've went through posters, let's go through different things like shirts and other oddities. For Zelda t-shirts and other memorabilia, I have 7 Legend of Zelda t-shirts. One I'm wearing right now, it's for the original game, I just wanted to get into character. Then we have one for the Hylian Shield right there, one for Ocarina of Time 3DS, a green one with the logo on it with the bird, another one from Ocarina of Time when he's fighting all the enemies, one from the original Zelda game, another really cool one with the logo with all these little pieces of Link, basically, all these other various small items and symbols from the Zelda game making up that logo, and one wearing the original Legend of Zelda right there with the original logo. That's the one I'm wearing just in green. Here I have 3 hats for The Legend of Zelda. I have one beanie hat right there, of course. One from Ocarina of Time where he's facing off against the fire demon, Volvagia. And another one that I usually wear out a lot. This one just has the Triforce logo with the Legend of Zelda logo. But I also have a Legend of Zelda watch right back there. The battery stopped working, so I just have to replace that battery. That one I did find at GameStop, otherwise known as EB Games in Canada. And then here we have a BioWorld, very heavy Zelda. This is just like the pixelated version of the original Zelda for your keychain, and one that I use all the time. This one has the Hylian Shield right there, and it also just has the lanyard, which I use a lot. So those are most of my wearable items for The Legend of Zelda, but other oddities that I do have that I want to mention as well are things like mugs and cases that I have. So for Link's Awakening, there was a triple set released of cups that was released at 7-Eleven. So these were really cool. You have one with Link on it, we have one with the entire game logo on it, and then back there we have another one, obviously. So there's 3 of them that you can find. Thank you so much for helping me get those if you were one of the people that helped me got that trilogy. Then we have this Zelda pint glass set of 4. This is beautiful. This features Ganondorf. It also features Princess Zelda, Sheik, and Link himself. 4 different colors. Love that set. And I have It's Dangerous to Go Alone. Take this or drink this from the original Zelda game. So that's really neat. I also have a Zelda lunchbox down here for Twilight Princess. Inside of that, it has some of the different kind of things that you can put on your Wii remotes to protect them, the sleeves, and also a CD case, but they're not really Zelda themed, just the boxes here. I think there's another one of these out for Phantom Hourglass, if I'm not mistaken. Other oddities that I have, here is a clock for The Legend of Zelda that my buddy Dylan gave me. Dylan, I hope you guys are doing well. I miss you guys, by the way. Then we have a click right here for Link. Look at how weird he looks on this. That looks hilarious, but it is made by Nintendo. There was also some candies that you can get. So this one is the Shield version that you can get some mints in it. We also have different things like this. This is the sound bite that basically plays off. It's called an effect tone. So when I open up my secret door in my Nintendo room, one of these sound effects plays. So there's two of them. There's one that's gold. This one's if you open up a chest. And the one that I have up in my room is this one here. So this one basically plays whenever you solve a puzzle and you find like a hidden door or anything like that. So that's exactly why I wanted to use it behind my door. I also have things like board games like Uno right here, which I actually got from a few people in my life. So thank you so much, Tree Falls Group, I believe, and getting me that was really cool over time. Then I have the Legend of Zelda Monopoly Collector's Edition. So cool to have that. And then the last things that I just want to mention are some of the different items that I've got from other people. So right here, this is a wooden embossed lithium with the Zelda logo for rolling dice. So we play a lot of board games in my house. So basically this would be set up, this would go on the end. You could put the dice down this hatch right there, and the dice would fall down, and then they would come out randomized, basically like you're rolling the dice. So this is really cool if you're playing any sort of board game, or if you're into Dungeons and Dragons or things like that, which is really quite neat. I don't use that as much as I should, but I really appreciate you getting for me that. Andrew it was. And then down here I have some cases. So I do have this Link holding up a Triforce with the hearts below, which looks fantastic. And from Club Nintendo, this was a case that you could get to basically protect one of your handheld systems. Love how the Triforce has all those different logos in it. So I believe that should hopefully be most of it. The only thing I didn't mention is this creating a champion guide right here that even comes with one of the orbs from the game. Orb. This is actually Jordan's set for creating a champion special edition made by Dark Horse. So thanks so much, Jordan. You've lent this to me for a long time now. It's been here. I think it's finally time you can take it back, of course, at some point and have it in your room with all of your collection. Other oddities that I have are pillows from The Legend of Zelda. What a big finish with the pillows over here. So we've got 8 Legend of Zelda pillows that I have, basically. So we have one that's from, I think, basically, this is probably Phantom Hourglass. One from just any Zelda game. Zelda's 25th anniversary, Ocarina of Time. There's 3 of them right there, so there's 3 different ones. Actually, there's a 4th one up there as well. And then this one, I think it's from Minish Cap. All of these pillowcases I bought for like $1 to $3 on eBay, but it was roughly almost 7 or 8 years ago. They're a lot harder to find in that price range. They're hard to find whatsoever. But you can actually find some items sometimes in various places. Sometimes like places like Walmart. Of course, I mentioned eBay. And maybe, I think Hot Topic's gone. So maybe places like GameStop. You can probably find a lot of different Zelda merch. That's cool items like that. What a great franchise The Legend of Zelda has been for 35 years. Think about it. How many franchises that you know of have had this level of maintained success for 35 years through almost 40 games and spin-offs? This is remarkable and exceptional. Hopefully everyone has some time today. It's a Sunday. Hopefully you have some time on the weekend if you're watching this video today to pull out your favorite Legend of Zelda game. Play through it on your own. Hopefully maybe you can share the experience with a family member or someone in your life and really just bask in how good this franchise is and how many great memories it has given us over time. I hope you guys really enjoyed this Legend of Zelda collection video. If you have your own video, like I said, share it with me here on YouTube. If you want to share a picture with me, though, you can tweet me at Collect Nintendo. So that's at Collect Nintendo on Twitter. I will post my own pictures of this collection up there as well. And if you want to follow me on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitch, they're also at Nintendo Collecting. The links are in the description below the video. Most importantly, though, I started a TikTok account because it is 2021. 2021. So if you want to follow me there as well, it's at Nintendo Collecting. I'll post today as well once this video goes live there. And lastly, check out the podcast I mentioned at Nintendo Addiction. They've done a really good job for a long time with those podcasts. I had a great time being on them. I should start up my own podcast series more frequently. I think we've done 2 episodes in the past, but I really want to restart that series from scratch and maybe get going on a podcast. Let me know if you'd be interested in hearing something like that. Thanks again for watching. Feel free to fill that like bucket by clicking on the like button below the video. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Check out my room tour if you haven't seen that video, and my reaction to Skyward Sword being announced. Go collect them all, everyone. Keep smiling while gaming. You guys are awesome. Stay awesome, everyone, and enjoy the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda.